The 5+11 debate rages on. Some of my Big 12 fan counterparts, fellow YouTubers, vehemently disagree with me that the 5-11 model is what's best for the game or for the Big 12. So that's what we're going to talk about in this show. I'm going to play a clip where I had a passionate and sometimes a little bit heated debate with the guys over at College Football Mafia about the 5+11 model. And we're going to do it right after this word from one of our sponsors. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college sports news and analysis centered around West Virginia and the Big 12. Before I play this clip of my debate with Bomber and WildUte over at the College Football Mafia show, I want to, in addition to the arguments I make on that show, I do want to also add in the fact that I think the 5+11 model is the best for the college football playoff, also because you do not want to cap your ceiling. There might be years in the future the Big 12 can get 3 or 4 teams in the playoff. I know that might sound like a stretch right now, but who knows? Once the House settlement, if it gets codified, once it goes into effect, maybe the Big 12 teams can be more competitive. Maybe they can get 3 to 4 teams in some years. If you go to the 4-4-2-2-1 automatic qualifier model, you are automatically capping your college football playoff number at 2. And there are many years you might be able to get more than 2 in. You do not want to limit yourself. You have got to bet on yourself. You've got to have confidence in you and your conference's ability to go out and win games in the future. Okay? It's the heart of sports. It's what it's all about, and I'm very passionate about this. Now, there are a few things that can happen to change my mind on this, which I'll touch on later in the show. But right now, let's go ahead and jump into this clip from the guys over at College Football Mafia and my appearance on their show Friday night.
Explain why Ute and I are completely wrong.
Well, first off, I respect your passion. I respect your, and I don't hate the 4-4-2-2-1. Let me start off with that. I don't hate it. Okay. But I think 5+11 is better, and I'm going to tell you why.
Please. You
cannot codify that you're half as good as everybody else. It can hurt you.
Define what that means, because the perception in the world, it already is.
It is, right. But how can you be a leader of an organization like Brett Yormark, for example, and you go in to meet with your colleagues and you say, well, you know what? Our league is only half as good as the SEC and Big Ten, and we're admitting that. We're putting our hand up and saying we suck, okay? We can't compete with these guys, so we got to take whatever they'll give us.
How about you change the narrative, though? Just change the narrative. Exactly. You have to win to do that.
Well, you can.
And the only way you're going to win is to actually participate.
The 5-11 model too. But here's another argument. That ain't to me. That ain't the best one.
Oh, okay.
My favorite argument is the financial piece to this. Okay. The main reason the Big Ten wanted to do the 4-4-2-2-1-3 model so they could do play-in games for more TV money. And so they could do the Big Ten SEC non-conference agreement for more TV money. The Big 12 doesn't have now they can do one play-in game for 2 spots, but they can't do.
You can do 2.
But they're not going to. There's no way they're going to be able to do what the SEC and Big Ten can do. They're not going to have that non-conference agreement.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
They could do one with the ACC, but that's not going to bring in near the money that.
No, we're just talking about the end of the season, the tournament, 1, 4, 2, 3.
Right. I'm looking at everything, though. When you can't, because it's all part of what the Big Ten wants. And you cannot allow them to separate themselves more than they already are financially, in my opinion. Right?
They already are, though. They're getting twice the money today.
But it'll be more than twice if you go down that road. Is what I'm saying.
How much more money does the Big 12 get if they only qualify one team? The SEC or ACC
it doesn't matter.
It's
not based on that anymore. In 2026, it's based on a percentage. Each conference gets a set percentage.
Okay,
so it won't matter if you get one team or 5 teams.
Then that's even worse, because then there's no aspiration to earn more money. If that's the case, then that's not a positive.
It's not about money at that point. The playoff is not about money at that point.
Access.
It's about access.
It's about access.
Prestige.
It is.
Bragging rights and winning championships, right? But it becomes about money when you look at all the stuff around it, like the play-in games, non-conference scheduling, and all that. To me, and also you cannot. I think there's also a PR play here. He's trying to say, if we say we're doing what's best for the sport, it's almost forcing the Big Ten and SEC saying to do, which Big Ten ain't gonna say jack, because he ain't got the balls to speak.
The SEC already said that's BS.
But the SEC, yeah, he did, but.
No, he really did. But
Greg Sankey. But I read an article that said Greg Sankey in a room. I don't remember where I read it at, but in the room, I think Greg Sankey personally likes the 5-11 model.
No, I'm not talking about 5-11. I'm talking about. I'm not here for the love of the game, for the betterment of the game.
Right.
I'm here for the SEC. That's the exact opposite of what Brett Yormark said.
Right. You're right. I agree with you. Brett Yormark said he's doing it for the betterment of college football.
Can you describe to me what that is? What's the betterment of college football?
Equal and fair access, winning it, showing it, proving it on the field.
Okay, and that's
the American way. It's the heart of sports.
Is the playing field flat right now?
It
Not
never
in
will
3
be.
years. No. I'm asking you right today.
No.
Is the playing field fair?
No.
Okay. In 4 years, if the ACC and Big 12 only average 1.5 teams a year, is that a win? Will that help us with prestige? Will that help us with perception?
No, but you've got to bank on they're betting on themselves to do better than that, to get to that 2.5 a year they've been averaging over the last decade.
You go ahead.
Couz, so just listening to you, so you're saying 3 things. There's 3 things that you're saying the argument for the 5-11. Number 1's perception. You don't want to be viewed as half, because you do half the bids, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's number 1. Number 2, Big Ten in particular would get additional play-in games because of those guaranteed spots to generate even more, double up your revenue for those playing games, benefiting them even more. This argument too.
And tied into that is the Big Ten SEC deal too. But yeah, that all is tied in together. Yeah.
And then last, like that game of kind of chicken leverage of saying it's for the good of the game from the ACC and Big 12 standpoint, to put more pressure, maybe political pressure on Big Ten and SEC. Those are the 3 reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I think those are compelling. And maybe from our standpoint, maybe we're seeing this too selfishly. Like I see most often that the Big 12 probably gets 1 team in. Maybe there's a year where they can compete for 3 spots. But just selfishly from the Utah standpoint, having 2 automatic guaranteed spots gives Utah twice as better chance basically to get in the playoff.
I actually don't disagree with your points on that. I just don't think you can. There's going to be a lot of years the Big 12 only gets 1 team because of the parity in the conference. I agree.
Well, I think it's also the perception in the country.
Correct. That too.
It's not just parity. It's who's voting for those spots.
BYU.
Let me interrupt. Also, you said 2 things. The play-in game for the Big Ten. This has nothing to do with the Big Ten. I'm only talking about the betterment of the Big 12. You can have 2 play-in games, just like the Big Ten can.
Okay.
They can have 2 play-in games. 1 versus 4 gets 1 slot. 2 versus 3 gets the 2nd slot. You're guaranteed, and you can change the conference championship game from 1 to 2. So that's not a natural advantage either. And then at the end of the day, if the conference has people looking at it from the outside and you're only getting 1 team in, BYU was 17 last year, and they were the 2nd team.
I know that.
So last year we would have been 1 team. Next year we could be 1 team. And because of the parity, I think parity is actually your counter argument. If you don't like any of the other things I've said, the parity in the Big 12 will eat itself alive. And getting that 2nd team, I don't care what your perception is. I don't care any of that stuff. In my opinion, it's better to guarantee access, and I don't care about the codification stuff. So those are the things that I would say back directly that you could absolutely implement. And that's how you change perception. You get to the playoff and win games, not win games during the season.
Right.
Okay, and that's fair. And one more piece that I have not heard anybody mention yet that I actually thought of today while I was in my car for 6
I need
hours.
it because the other ones we've talked about before.
And I don't like this. And
Right.
I don't, and I'm not saying this is true, but there could potentially be a political piece to this from by Brett Yormark in the league. Guess who the new chair of the CFP committee is?
Who?
Mac Rhodes.
Okay. All right.
If you're Brett Yormark, do you want to take any? Do you want it to appear like you're taking any subtle shots at all at the CFP selection committee where your guy, one of your guys, is the chair of?
But see, I think again, how is that a good thing? You should
I didn't
be
say.
able
That's
to be
why I
critical.
prefaced the statement by saying
Yeah.
this is not necessarily a
Yeah, I don't think that helps.
But
at
when you're
all.
in the positions like those guys are in, those kind of things matter. You can't just.
Let me ask you this:
relationships, politics, all that stuff matters.
You're exactly right. It is a people industry, and those things matter. The public perception and the PR battle, though, is on different footing than I think in the Big 12. We're in a circle, and everybody just keeps saying the same thing over and over and over again. Out in the world, global view, the Big 12 is. I don't care what anybody wants to talk about, whether they appear to be on the same level. They're not on the same level.
I agree with you.
From a concrete
100%.
level, they're
I agree
not.
with you.
And can you, in a future, tell me, how does the Big 12 get back to being on the same level?
Only way you can do that is win.
Win championships, right?
And it's hard to do that when it's not a level playing field.
And it's hard to do it when you only have one team.
Yeah, I don't disagree
We
with
want to do a
most of the
private
things you guys are-
capital deal, right, Couz?
Yeah.
We want to do a private capital to help.
exactly.
That's a
we
whole
got
different
to.
thing we haven't gotten into
Yeah.
tonight.
Let me end by saying, because I know Jason wants to come.
Yeah,
on
I
too,
wanted
and
to get Jason on too.
Let me end by saying this. I actually do agree with you guys that the 4-4-2-2-1 model long term is probably better for the Big 12. Okay, I do agree
Yeah.
with that statement.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the right thing to. I just don't think you can vote for that and have
Okay.
and lay your head on a pillow at night,
Okay.
because it's not.
That's fair.
It sucks the heart out of what sports is supposed to be.
I don't.
I guess
None of us disagree with that.
I guess I'm a
there.
traditionalist when it comes to competing in sports. It's
Yeah.
about getting your best teams out there. It's about deciding
Merit.
it on the field
About
and
merit.
not picking winners based on what league you play in.
No doubt.
Period.
We support that. 100%.
That is the number one reason I like the model. I'm looking outside of my Big 12 bias, outside of my fandom.
Mhm.
From a pure sports perspective,
right.
I cannot sit here and tell you that 5-11 is the wrong way to go, because that's really the only model outside of a straight 1-16 deal, which I would definitely hate. You got to at least get in conference championships. And conference champions need to get in, because you deserve to get rewarded for winning your league.
Right.
But your conference champion could be the 12 seed or the 16 seed, right?
Yeah. Here's the one thing that might make me change my mind about thinking the 5-11 is better. Okay. Or the best way to go.
Okay.
If Greg Sankey is able to achieve his goal of getting strength of schedule of one of the most important criteria, then we're screwed.
Yes.
If he achieves that, because in uneven conferences, when everybody doesn't play everybody,
Yes.
conference, I'm not saying strength of schedule shouldn't be a metric at all, but it should be weighted. It shouldn't be weighted super heavy, right? And he wants it to be, I mean, he's pushing this agenda like strength of schedule, strength of schedule, strength of schedule.
Right.
That won't be good for anybody but the SEC, in my opinion, because I don't even think that Big Ten they have juggernauts at the top, but once you get past Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Michigan, they're just they're just like the ACC and the Big 12 at that point.
Well, and we're talking about the negotiation for 2026. I think it's a little bit early. I don't know why they're not pushing it to next year, especially for the Big Ten. Because if this year the SEC gets 6 teams in, and the Big Ten gets 3, now all of a sudden, that can change the dynamics. And at that point, if they negotiate it out now, the Big Ten might get screwed too.
Yeah. And one more thing, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, Jason. By the way, I sent you an invite, Jason. Check your DMs.
I'll shut up after this.
That's
but
okay.
I think there's also potential legal ramifications here. The power conferences could be at risk of getting sued here if they try to push this 4-4-2-2-1 model through.
Why? For what reason?
Collusion.
Not if they agree to it. It's not collusion. Not if all four
The
A4
G6s
conferences.
or other the G6s.
The G6 doesn't have any voting. It's an LLC, so it's a company. It's not a
Agreed,
state
but
entity.
they have to give the other.
They don't really.
Yeah, they do. You're not letting me finish my sentence, Bomber, before you're cutting me off.
Okay.
They have to let everyone else have fair input. If you read that article by Ross Dellinger the other day, there are some people in the room who don't feel like the SEC and Big Ten are giving everyone fair input. They're not taking people's opinions seriously. So,
Okay.
and if you're the Big 12, you don't want to be included in that on that side of the argument, right? You don't want to be like, hey, because the G6s is already mad at Power 4 anyway for threatening to pull away. So do you really want to be? And again, that's probably not that's a very minute concern to me, but it is something I think they could be. Brett Yormark's choosing his words carefully here. I don't think he's saying this stuff in a vacuum. He has a reason for saying what he's saying.
I think you're right. That's true.
Who knows what he actually thinks behind the scenes and inside of his brain.
Really compelling points. Yeah, I think that the most compelling of all is like leveraging the statement, like this is best for the game. We know how much it upset Greg Sankey when those messages came out, but you're getting to more of like the battle for preventing a P2 breakaway, right? That's kind of what you're hinting at.
Yeah.
If that's the play, if that's the public play, then that's genius. Even if like you did maybe privately support a 4-4-2-2 model, just saying that, communicating that for public pressure would be absolutely brilliant. So I think that's a really great point, Couz. You mentioned that. Maybe that is the play.
Hey, do me a favor. Go check out my good friends over at Appalachia Digital. If you need a brand new website for your small business, or if you're just looking to get found easier on Google, go check out AppalachiaDigital.com/Couz. These are the fine folks who designed my brand new website over at WVSportsChat.com. They did a fantastic job. I love their work. I think you will too. So go check them out. AppalachiaDigital.com/Couz. Let them know Couz sent you. Now let's get back to the show. So I hope I made some compelling points for the 5-11 model. Look, the Big 12's at a disadvantage any way you slice it, whether it's 5+11, whether it's 4-4-2-2-1-3, whatever. The Big 12 and ACC are going to be at a disadvantage any way you go. So if that's going to be the case, you don't want to make college sports an invitational. You don't want to, sports is all about competition. I'm a former high school athlete. You cannot suck away the chance to compete. At least give the Big 12 and ACC a chance to earn those spots. And I think that's all they're asking. It's up to them to figure out a way to do it. And like I mentioned in the opening, I don't believe you should cap your future opportunities as well. And in addition to the arguments I made, shout out to CFB Plus and also Rock and Rant, who made these 2 points on social media. You do not want to cap your future opportunities. You shouldn't base your future opportunities on past performances. And, we've only seen 1 year of the expanded playoff. Yes, the Big 12 only got one team in, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be that way every single year from here on out or through 2031 when these playoffs come up for renegotiation again or the new contract comes up. And remember, there's also a look-in 2027 so they can go back and revisit all this, right? Or 28, whatever year it is. So the Big 12 is giving themselves an opportunity to, their conference champ will likely get in, and then they have a chance to earn more spots, just like the other leagues do. So it's up to these teams in the Big 12 to figure out a way to be more competitive, to figure out a way to win more football games, to try to make sure they're in that top 16 at the end of the year. They've got to figure it out, whether it's through better coaching, whether it's through better player retention, whether it's through doing a better job through the portal, whatever it is, they've got to figure it out. Yes, they might be playing on an uneven playing field. They might have to punch above their weight class a little bit, but at the end of the day, that's what it takes. You got to do what it takes. So get it done. And the 5-11 model is best for the game of football. Again, I hope they don't change the criteria to make strength of schedule the number one criteria, because that would probably be an even more uneven playing field than a 4-4-2-2-1-3 model, to be honest with you. When you have conferences where everybody doesn't play everybody, there's no way to have a fair strength of schedule metric. Also, when you have a league like the SEC who went out and basically took some of the better brands from other leagues, that's an uneven playing field in itself. Big Ten did the same thing. So you cannot do strength of schedule as being the number one metric if you're going to do this 5-11 model. But outside of that, the 5-11 model to me is the way to go. Let's get it done. I want to hear what you think in the comment section. How did you think I did in the debate with Bomber and WildUte? Did you think I held my own? I respect those guys. They're friends of the show. I've had them guys on my show. I've been on their show multiple times. I respect them. I like what they do over there. I try to support them. But sometimes we disagree, and sometimes we get passionate about our beliefs. So anyway, I want to give them a shout out for giving me permission to play that clip or that segment of their show. And I recommend you, if you want to watch the whole show, I'll leave a link to it in the description. You can see Jason Watkins' appearance. He hosts a Hall of Fame college football show, and then I think they had some other guests on. And then you can also check out the first hour of the show where those three guys just kind of talked amongst themselves and along with the people in their chat room. But thanks for tuning into this show. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. Q Country Roads.